Hi everyone, this presentation is about section 2 of the external written examination, reading and responding. So let's take the assessment criteria. So in section 2, reading and responding, we have two parts, part A and part B. Part A requires a response in English, part B requires a response in the target language, which is Greek in our case. So for part A, the criteria is the capacity to understand and convey general and specific information. Basically, you will be asked to extract, summarize, perhaps evaluate information from texts. You can also be asked to compare or contrast aspects from texts. Part A might have one or two texts, and they will receive 20 marks allocation. Part B has two criteria, the capacity to understand general and specific aspects of the texts and the capacity to convey information accurately and appropriately, which means that you will also be marked in the language component. You will be asked to respond in the language to information provided. You might have one or two texts, and the mark allocation is 10 marks. Breaking down the steps. You will need to read the questions and highlight the keywords. For example, in the 2016 VCE Greek examination, we have the question, what are Angeliki's aspirations? So basically the keyword here is aspiration. So in the text, we will try and find a similar word. So when we read the questions and highlight the keywords, we read the text or texts to understand the gist and locate the keywords from the questions in it. Here, for example, we have the word onirevomun, that basically indicates aspirations. So we know that the answer is going to be in these lines, and because the mark allocation is 2 marks, we have to try and find two things to put in our answer. And basically here we have the conjunction ke that identifies that we have to continue basically the entire sentence. And the response here is, Angeliki's aspirations are to break swimming records and to win a gold medal at the Olympics. And basically it's the entire first line. We need to go through the questions again and locate them in the text. According to the block entries, what are the pressures on the athlete and the coach? And this question has 4 marks. Basically, in 2016 exam, we had one text that required response in English, but it had 3 blocks. So basically, with this question, you have to extract information from all 3 blocks. I have highlighted in green the parts that indicates the response. So according to the block entries, the pressures on the athlete and the coach are lack of time to devote to studies, not going out with friends as much, being away from home, sacrificing events away from family, enduring physical pain. If you have given the same answer to 2 different questions, you are probably doing something wrong. You should not repeat points and information, and that was the trap basically with last year's exam. The answer, space provided, and the marks allocated for the questions should be used as a guide. Now let's take part B, response in Greek. As you can see, the Greek text, the text that requires a response in Greek, is a very small text basically. It's less than 100 words here. And that makes it more difficult when you have to write your answer, because it doesn't give you the option to pick a few things and write them. And because we can't just copy and write to the answer sheet, we have to change the language. It's much more difficult. So the question is, γράψε μία παράγραφο και εξήγησε γιατί η μαστίχα είναι ένα μοναδικό προϊόν. Να συμπεριλάβεις 5 σημεία στην απάντησή σου. We know that for part B, that requires a response in Greek, we have an allocation of 10 marks. We are asked to put 5 points, to include 5 points. So 5 points are going to be for the content, basically, but also 5 points are going to be for the language. So we have to be very careful how we form our paragraph here. So we are asked to explain about the uniqueness of masticha. We have to justify. So in the text I have highlighted in green the 5 points that we need to include in our answer. But we have to transform the text a little bit and use connective words to make it a paragraph. We should not just copy the 5 points from the text. We need to reorganize the information and manipulate the language. This question asks you to justify the uniqueness of masticha. So we need to use a couple of words here. We have to use words that indicate cause and purpose. For example, διότι, γιατί, επειδή, εφόσον, γι' αυτό το λόγο, αυτό οφείλεται. We also need to use words that indicate addition and similarity, more information. For example, ακόμα, επιπλέον, επίσης. I understand that επίσης is a word that easily we can remember it, but it's not a very good idea to use it all the time. There are other words to change it. We can also use phrases such as κατά πρώτο λόγο, κατά δεύτερο, πρώτα-πρώτα, από τη μία μεριά από την άλλη. So all these phrases will enrich our paragraph. Our paragraph needs to be well structured. It needs to have a topic sentence. It needs to have a main body and a closing sentence. And on your right, you can see a sample response in Greek. So here are the 5 points that you should have included, basically. And in yellow, it is the topic sentence. Η μαστίχα είναι ένα μοναδικό προϊόν για πολλούς λόγους. It's a very easy sentence. And you can see the example of the paragraph. That's all for now. Bye.